So, have you ever wondered what it is like to marry someone from Uganda? Of course, it is not just love, it is a full-on cultural adventure. So today we are diving into what it is really like to marry a Ugandan. Of course, the food, the family, the traditions, and the surprises that make it one of the most heartwarming experiences ever. So whether you're dating someone from Uganda or just curious about love across cultures, this video is for you. So let's start with the first thing first. You will notice is the family. In Uganda, family is everything. Of course, family is not just mom, dad, and the kids. No, it is everyone, including aunties, uncles, cousins, neighbors. Everyone is part of the family. They are all part of the crew. So when you marry a Ugandan, you don't just get a partner, you get a whole village cheering for you. So now coming down to food, because oh boy, Uganda food is love on a plate. They have got soft warm chapati, they have got creamy matoke, of course. That is mashed plantain. And they have got juicy roasted meat. Of course, they call it nyama choma. And of course, in Uganda, meals are not just about eating. Of course, they are about connection. You sit together, you laugh, you share stories, and sometimes dance while cooking. So then coming down to tradition, Uganda weddings are very colorful, they're very joyful, and full of meaning. So there's a special ceremony called the introduction. Of course, the local call it Kwanjula. So it is when the bride's family officially introduces her future husband to everyone. Of course, there's music, there's gifts, and even playful negotiation like how many cows will you bring for our daughter, that kind of thing. So of course it is all done with humor and love. Of course, it is like a giant welcome party with gift, dancing, and storytelling. But it is not just about ceremonies. Everyday life with a Uganda partner means learning to blend two words. You might wake up to a gospel music one day and reggae music the next day. Of course, you will learn Luganda words like Webale, of course. I think that means thank you. And Mpagala, I think that is I love you. I'm not really good at Uganda words, but I think Nkwagala means I love you. So you will realize that times moves differently. Everything feels slower, calmer, and more about people than schedules. And yes, there are challenges too. Of course, cultural differences can be tricky. So maybe you are used to testing all day, but your Uganda spouse prefer face-to-face chats. Or maybe you are surprised when every weekend turns into a family gathering. But that's the beauty of it. Love teaches you patience, understanding, and how to laugh through the differences. So, at the heart of it all, marrying a Ugandan means being part of a culture that values respect, community, and joy. Of course, it is not just a marriage, it is a celebration of life every single day. So, what it is like to marry a Uganda? Of course, it is warm hugs, loud laughter, endless food, and maybe love that feels like home, even if you are miles away from where you started. So, if you love these stories, ladies and gentlemen, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and like and follow for more global love stories. And let me know in the comment down below if I should get a Ugandan partner. So, see you in the next video. Bye bye.